I actually already made the video that I actually intended to make today with the meal, so that'll be following this. But I realize there might be some information that if you don't know me or whatever, haven't talked to me in a while, may, I guess, be somewhat helpful. About a year and a half ago is when I started having a lot more health issues. I used to work out a lot, like twice a day most days. And that was how I kind of kept up with my maintaining, I guess, the weight that I was at and my level of health that I was at. And I didn't as much work on the diet side as I should have. But then the various issues that I have started becoming more prominent. I have a lot of issues now with like my balance and pain just everywhere, but particularly in my feet and my legs. Make it hard for me to get around sometimes more than others. And started not being able to work out, started putting on what was for me a lot of weight, and got to where I was heavier than I ever had been, and decided that I needed to address that. And so in May of last year, so 2019, I reached out to a friend of mine who I had seen do some amazing things in his life. He'd lost a lot of weight. He'd kept it off for a long time, and so I decided I needed to at least give that a shot. Since starting that program, I've lost 42 pounds so far, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I've decided I need to branch out a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, is I'm kind of holding myself accountable and hopefully helping other people, even if it's just make simple, choice of making a slightly healthier dinner for themselves and their family. That'd be great. But that's why when I'm doing these videos, you'll see at the wooden counter there, I'm sitting on a stool. When I'm at the stove, I'm sitting on a stool. It's just less painful for me to do that. So with that, I'm gonna go back to editing this video and hopefully get it online for everybody. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I decided that I'm going to start showing some of the healthy recipes that I make on my healthy living plan. And one of the things that I'm guilty of is I'm really not very good in the kitchen. I'm not very well versed. And so I will find 1, 2, 3 things that I like, and then I'll just keep making those meals over and over again, and I'm not getting a lot of diversity in my meals. So I decided to print off the recipe book from my Healthy Living Facebook page, and I sent it to Office Depot and had them print it out for me. And what I'm gonna do is I've decided I'm going to make my way through this book one recipe at a time. Probably one a week is my guess. And I'm going to make them exactly as the recipe says. I'm not gonna change the recipes the first time through. So for some things like what I'm making today, it has stuff that I normally would avoid because I'm not a huge fan of them, like mushrooms. I'm gonna try it. So I'm gonna do it exactly as the recipe says, exactly being a loose word because I probably am gonna mess it up because I'm not good in the kitchen. This one seems like a pretty easy recipe, so that's why I decided to start with this. So the one I'm doing today is called the Cheesy Chicken Cauliflower Skillet. Things that I'm probably going to already know I'm going to change for next time. Actually, there's only one thing for sure. The recipe itself, being one that's supposed to be easy, calls for 1 12-ounce can of shredded chicken breast drained. I prefer to have fresh, so what I did is I already drained it and took it out of the can and weighed it, and it is equivalent of 7 ounces of cooked chicken. So next time, if I make this one again, I will make this with fresh grilled or something similar, fresh chicken, not canned. So I wanted to put that in there right away. If you decided you didn't want to do canned chicken, but you wanted to try this one, that's how much you should use. So it should be already cooked and 7 ounces after it's cooked. All right, so I already pretty much measured out everything. This one called for a lot of stuff that was just measuring. It's not a lot of prep work. So I'm going to bring my stool over to the stove, and that way I can do this without hurting my legs too much more. Now let's see what happens. So basically what I did here is I kind of lined up my ingredients in kind of the stages that I would need them, so that it would be easier for me to get them in the right order and not mess it up, essentially. So first thing it wants me to do is I'm supposed to cook the mushrooms, cauliflower rice, and garlic in the oil, olive oil, for 3 to 4 minutes. So start with that. I need to do 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Okay. And I shouldn't need the teaspoon again, so I'm just going to stick that right in the sink for now. Okay. So it didn't tell me a temperature, like heat-wise, like medium, high, medium, low, medium. It didn't tell me a temperature I'm supposed to use for this part, so I just went about medium-ish. We'll see if that works. So I'm gonna put it in there in the order it tells me to, because I don't know if that actually has an effect or not, because I really have no idea how kitchens work. So 4 ounces of mushrooms sliced, so those are going in. 12 ounces of frozen cauliflower rice. That attacked me there. I think this is actually a 10-ounce bag. I could not find a 12-ounce bag, so I'm going as close to the instructions as possible with what was available. Maybe when this recipe was written, 12-ounce bags were more common. I don't really know. And I did wash my hands before I did all of this, so, you know, wash your hands before you handle your food. And then 2 cloves of garlic, minced, which I had to Google how to do that. If you are inept like I am, you put it on the cutting board with a knife flat and smash it, and then chop it up really fine. Is essentially how you do that. I'm going to use this. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong utensil for this, but I'm going to use this one because it was in the front of my utensil jar. Maybe I should move that away from the heat a little bit. So 3 to 4 minutes, so I'm going to just kind of keep an eye on there. As far as the time frame, I think maybe I'm supposed to stir it. It doesn't say to, it doesn't say not to. So I'm going to kind of stir it a little bit, I suppose. The next step is to add the chicken broth. So I'm adding half a cup of, I'm using reduced sodium chicken broth. And so I'm adding that in. Okay. So I'm supposed to bring it to a boil. Okay, I think I'm seeing a lot of bubbles in here. I don't know if you can actually see it on there or not. But I think, let me see. I think it's about 1 minute. 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 this would be considered boiling. So it says to then add the chicken. Okay. I guess I didn't shred this too well, but I can do that while it's in here. Add the chicken, reduce heat, and simmer for 4 to 5 minutes. So I don't know how far to reduce it. I'm going to go down to like a little bit below half, I guess. All right, so that's 5 minutes. So I'm supposed to check and see if the vegetables are tender. I'm sure the cauliflower rice is fine. I don't know about the mushrooms. I think the best way for me to figure that out is probably to stab one of the bigger ones. And that one's, I can stab through it pretty easily. Like I said, I'm not really big on mushrooms, so I don't really... They seem to be pretty stabbable. So, okay. So that's done. I'm going to say it's probably good. Okay, so then I'm supposed to stir in the mozzarella. So 8 ounces of reduced fat mozzarella, and then a half a teaspoon of oregano. So I'm going to do the 8 ounces of the reduced fat mozzarella. And half a teaspoon of oregano. Best guess is that this is supposed to be all melty and cheesy throughout, you know, being that it's called a cheesy chicken cauliflower skillet. So, so this meal is 4 servings. So for me, that's half a week of meals. I don't have anybody that I'm, nobody's doing this the healthy living with me. I don't have any kids or significant others or anything that I'm feeding at the same time. So for me, this is real easy, you know, make one time, have, 3 additional meals. So half a week of my lean greens. How this breaks down, this recipe is 1 lean, meaning we're not going to add any healthy fats, and it does have all 3 of your greens for the day. So 3 vegetable servings, and then it's one of your 3 condiments. So you can still have 2 additional condiments throughout the day, whether it's your something you add to your fuelings, or maybe your coffee, whatever. And so I'm a bit of a stickler with these, because I do want to make sure they're measured out totally, and I want to make sure that they're even, so all my meals are the right amount. So what I'm going to actually end up doing is, I'm going to turn off the heat on this. The cast iron will hold that for a while. I'm going to take my scale out, and I'm going to grab a different dish that's a little bigger and not hot, because I don't want to melt my scale. And I'm going to weigh this and then figure out how much that means each meal should be. And for my meal today, I'll just put it in a regular dish, and then I'll use reusable Tupperware for the other 3 that I'm going to put in the fridge. The last thing that I haven't done yet is say for 2 scallions to be chopped, and to top the dish with that. I'm going to do that after I weigh it out. I'm going to top each dish with with that. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, I'll set that on the not hot part of the stove. Okay, so this is coming out to 28.3 essentially. So, a little over 7 ounces per meal then. And what I'll do, get out my dish for tonight, and I'll move this over and zero out my scale again. All right, so I'm a little over 7 ounces. Well, that's cheesy. Look at that. Okay. Actually looks really, it smells really good. Now it's reading 7.05. That's pretty darn close to a quarter of this. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of the scallions, go over top with it. That's about a quarter of those. All right, so there it is. I'm gonna try it and see how it tastes. All right, so I just finished making the cheesy chicken cauliflower skillet. I dished up just this one meal. The others still behind me, and I'm gonna have to measure those out for the rest of my week. But I'm gonna give it a shot. It's really gooey. It's really cheesy. You know what? This first bite, I'm gonna put a mushroom in there. I'm gonna do it. See how it goes. That's really good. I'm definitely going to be making this one again. It's really good. The mushroom texture is a bit much for me. When I make this one again, what I'll probably do for me, because I don't love the texture of these, is I would probably run it through like the Ninja chopper, and then I think the texture would be a lot better for me. But the taste on this is really good. Super easy recipe. I will definitely be doing this one again at some point. If you want to try this recipe, I would definitely recommend it. I will go ahead and put the recipe in the description. If you have any questions, let me know. I think this one's a winner.